Hey, so I just want to take this quick moment to explain this is going to be a little bit different than a regular video. It's actually going to have no video, so I don't know why I'm calling it a video. But it's just going to be me talking about something that inspires me in my game, and so I hope you just play this while you're driving or something that you don't want to look at a video, and just relax and enjoy. So thank you. Hi, my name's Nate. I'm part, or just one very small part now of Dark Gaming Squad, and today I'm going to be doing a video on philosophy, mostly Platos Symposium, and how I use this in my game itself for world building. So join me if you want to kind of learn something very boring. So one of the major problems I have in my gaming is world building. I have a hard time showing different cultures and the way they think. It's very hard to get your mindset into something that you never experienced. And yes, while we can learn a lot about movies and we're going to learn a lot about from some fictional writings, I believe that reading the philosophy from a culture like the Greeks is very beneficial to you. I mean, you're literally learning the way they think. And Plato's Symposium is about love, the way they viewed love and relationships. So this is a pretty important little text right here. Um, it was technically told by Plato, but it actually focuses on Socrates and him at a dinner party. So a young man, a general actually, I believe, or a military expert, threw a party, a dinner party, to get the attention of Socrates himself. Now, I want you to keep that in mind because this is kind of unheard of. You don't generally see a lot back then, or even in today, of young people getting the trying to get the attention of older people. Usually it's the other way around. Something I should talk about in here, and I will kind of briefly go over that. So there's a lot of arguments told in this dinner table, as this is something the Greeks did for fun, and that's another thing you'd always throw into your games. People there liked arguments. They liked talking about religion. They liked talking about government. It was a way to not only bond, but also to increase your mental ability. And another important thing too to think about: this Greeks were in a very weird stage where they first started experimenting with science, but they still believed that a lot of the scientific world could be explained, or a lot of our natural world, sorry, could be explained via just thinking about it. And he sees a lot with Plato and Socrates, Aristotle, all of them. Um, but getting into this, I'm first start to talk about some of the minor arguments, and then we'll talk about the good stuff afterwards. So one of the minor arguments that was brought up was this idea that there's a difference between heavenly love and earthly love. Now, of course, there's only one argument from one of the people. And this is a very strange one, and I kind of want to bring this up because it shows how different it was. But they believe that earthly love was just about pure physical attraction. Nothing more to it. And heavenly love, on his opinion, was like a young boy loving an older man. And this is because they could both get something out of it. The young boy would give the older man vitality, excitement, beauty. He would get, new life through this young boy in a way of speaking. And the older man could offer to the young boy would be a position, knowledge, wisdom, most importantly, and money and power. So they kind of talked about this trade between the two as being a more heavenly love. And me saying this today in our culture and our society, it seems a little creepy, although we sometimes still do see this. Not necessarily young boys, but young men. And I think that's more or less what they're trying to target. They're not necessarily children, but just young men that are first experiencing the world. They could get a better standing if they decided to mingle and to find love with an older man. Still creepy, but whatever. Um, but now we're gonna go to the next argument that was brought up as by Aristophanes, and this is something kind of funny because we still see this argument being not necessarily brought up, but being an inspiration to a lot of fictional writing. But he was the man that in this book that brought up the idea that man had two heads, four arms, and four legs. Zeus feared the power that man had and split him in half, and this was his explanation of why we were always looking for our other half, and when we do find our other half, we feel whole. So it's kind of an interesting and fun little story. Is it necessarily supposed to be metaphorical? We're not quite sure. We kind of believe so, but it could be just his way of explaining it. And it's so funny that this small story that probably was told at a dinner table, you can see have such a large effect to even a literature or fiction today. But now let's get into the fun stuff, and this is what I find very interesting, and this is what I kind of use for my book. So their idea of love, or at least Socrates says, they got from a woman named Dietoma. I believe she was a oracle as well, somebody very wise, somebody very smart. She talks about the ladder of love. And so as you kind of go up this ladder, you get more and more closer to their idea of what would be God or just a spiritual existence. But anyways, starting off, the first ladder would be body. Um, and body was important. Not important, but body was just the beginning, the very first aspects of finding love. So you're just looking at somebody through a purely physical need. You know, I see it, I like it, I love the body, I find it very attractive. But as you kind of, and this is something that's up, you know, a lot of people are supposed to be able to get past, because something just you do is very young, you begin to notice all bodies, and you begin to really love people for how they look, and you begin to see what you like. And that will expand to go to mind, to the intellectual capabilities of that person, their personality. You begin to love people for that. And that doesn't necessarily just mean sexual. It can mean, you know, I love my mother, I love my brother, I love my friends, I love my partner. You begin to really see this. That quickly should evolve into love of soul. And this is where, in his opinion, a lot of people stop. You just begin to love people for who they are on the inside, the actual real meat of the personality. Of course, because they believe soul was not necessarily just mind. And that is where you begin loving people just for them. You know, you love your family, you love your groups, you love your work, you love the people, because you notice things that you like, and you try to find love in them, and you try to find the good qualities. And that's what they kind of argue for. Then after that, it goes up to something a little higher, and some people get to this. It's called love of the civilization, or love of the group of people, the collective. So I love not just my partner, and I love not just my brother, I love America. You begin to notice things that you like in a group of people. So I can appreciate America because we have freedoms here, and we have this idea that we can get anything we want through hard work. And that's when you begin to love America for that. And just as everything else, as you notice things that you like, you can start loving other things. So I also love Canada. I also love Mexico. I love Japan. I love these countries. I love these states. I love these organizations. I love libraries. I love police force. You just learn to appreciate. And that's when it goes down to the next tier, which is the love of knowledge, the love of just knowing that you can love, the love of finding out things about our real world. And so he believes that you go down this ladder and you get closer and closer to the final step, which I'm still having a hard time digesting. It's a very strange idea, but it's begin to love the idea of love. When you truly understand it, you truly understand what makes love great, you truly understand the perfection of all things. So I guess the way of explaining is like, if you love a cat, you begin to notice all the good things about said cats, and then you begin to love cats as a whole, and then you can have the true understanding of what the perfect or the greatest love of a cat would be. It's the same thing for this, except you just begin to love all things whole and all things entirely. And this is supposedly when you find true, like, spiritual eternity is in this understanding of love. And it's just a very interesting story, and this is something that they believed in. I mean, not everybody, but a lot of people would have believed in this idea of love. And that's just kind of fascinating, and that's something I brought up into my game. So it's just this idea that people could get around in these large dinner parties and talk and pursue one another, and you know, they talk about loving, and they talk about loving all these people and loving these ideas that you can see. And I try bringing that up in my conversations between NPCs and PCs, and obviously I'm still working on it, but I feel like my game has become more enriched because I can bring in these ideas that were true, these ideas that they actually thought back then, and bringing them into my gaming world. So I just want to share this little information with you guys. I want to really hopefully inspire you guys to start reading some old texts and being able to bring their ideas into your gaming sphere. Anyways, probably make a few more of these videos, but thanks for watching, and get out there, get gaming, as we always say. Thank you guys.